Calli, thank you for your time. We're talking to you as you go through your final preparations for Chicago. Taper time now, I guess, and a busy few weeks behind you from Tokyo. I mean, how are you feeling? It must have been a bit of a roller
Yeah,
coaster
it's
for you.
it's definitely been a roller coaster, but I signed up for this, so I can't complain. Like I really did want a track season. I think it's felt like it's been a minute since I've been back on the track, and I thought, you know what, I want to, while I've still got some fast twitch, I do want to try and see what I've got on the track as well. And I think it's good to mix it up. And I do really believe that the 10K helps in the longer distances as well. Like the marathon game has changed, and you do need some fast twitch at the end on those latter miles. So yeah, no, it's been fun to mix it up. But yeah, definitely an interesting, busy time at the minute.
I mean, we saw that, didn't we, at the end of the women's marathon? But with both the men's and women's marathons, the sprint finishes that we had at the ends inside the stadium on the track. So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely need
exactly.
those
And even
fast twitch.
Boston, like watching Sharon, like, well, I couldn't even watch it in distance. Like she's gone, she's
Mm.
absolutely gone. Sharon and O'Beary, they just like can just do sub 5 minute miles right at the end, and the last few miles of Boston on that course, it's insane. So yeah, definitely trying to work on that as the years go on. So yeah.
No, and it's a fairly unusual choice, I guess, to go to a major champs to do a 10K when you're building up to something as cool as Chicago. You were very open about your reasons for not wanting to do that championship marathon and why you didn't think it would suit you. I guess I'm curious, like, did you have any FOMO? And how did you find the conditions in the
Yeah,
10K
yeah,
with that heat?
definitely. Paris was really hot and humid the morning of my marathon, and I think like just yeah, that alone, it's just scary to then prepare and gear up for yet another championship marathon, but knowing that it's going to be really hot, and just knowing how the last one went, it's like it was going to be tough. Mentally and physically, to turn that around and just get ready for it, because before you know it, it is here, and we were just like preparing. But this time, when it's just 6 miles, 10K, I'm like, okay, surely I can get my head around that, and as long as I can make that team, which was always another big ask, because in the UK it's not easy, it's not just a given. So yeah, and I didn't make that easy for myself either. I had to go to Oslo. I really wanted to do a fast time, like just to know that I could run like decent in that distance on the track. Because like, yeah, I've done it on the roads, but it's so different on the track. It's 25 laps. It's so mental. I find it more mentally hard than the marathon. But yeah, so it was an interesting time. Went to Oslo 3 days later. Pretty much had to do the trial and solidify my top two. So yeah, like when I got that ticked, I was like, okay, I feel like I've earned my spot now. Like, let's hopefully like go all in on the track for the season. But yeah, I did get FOMO of watching the marathon. It was an amazing marathon to watch. Yeah, it was incredible, and there's something special about the marathon. But yeah, it's easy for me to sit there and say, well, what could have been? But it's like you'd never know in the 26.2. And to be honest, it didn't feel as hot. It felt very different to Paris. I felt way more relaxed in Tokyo. It just felt different. So yeah, I might have been fine, but who knows? But no, I'm still really happy with the track campaign, and like not many runners on that track 10K was like introduced as going to do the marathon a month later as well. So it's cool for me.
Mm.
It's fun. It's like a good thing to mix it up. I do find just yeah, it's just something different. What?
And I'm wondering, like, specifically, doing those two things in tandem, preparing for that 10K and preparing for Chicago, how does that look training wise? Do the long runs sort of non-negotiable and they have to happen, and then you fit the 10K stuff
Not
around
really.
it?
I feel like I'm very much in that middle ground area between. I do a lot of intensity. Like I'm more quality over quantity anyway. I don't do crazy mileage. I've always done very much more fast twitch. Like I like to hit the 5K, 10K, half marathon zones quite a lot. Um, and I just think that all helps me both, yeah, on the track stuff, and then obviously that just equate to my marathon, as well, thankfully. But yeah, I just think, yeah, because I'm that middle ground athlete with, dabbling in all of these different zones and things, I think I do get away with it. But yeah, no, I've kept it it's been pretty intense. And to be honest, with the marathon, I'm not too like worried about chasing miles because like I've been going now since the Paris block. Like I've been on. I've not come off the gas. I don't know how my body does it sometimes, but it's like yeah, I have been going for a while, so I know that's all stacked, and that's all gonna like hopefully mean something when I do come to. And I've done Boston earlier this year, and I'm doing Chicago to finish. Hopefully, finish a good year off, and hopefully run a fast marathon time, which will be yeah. I always find that very exciting.
I was going to ask you a bit about that later on, Calli, but since you're on it now, about the difference in distances you're competing, you know, from 5Ks and above, really. And do you, it's very different to a lot of other marathon runners. You know, you can go especially through the East African athletes and you can sort of look at their results and it's maybe a marathon they've done that year, maybe a half to tune up, and then pretty much nothing that we've seen them out anywhere else. Have you ever been told, you know, anyone ever tried to have their opinions say, no, actually, Calli, you're not doing the right thing, like, you know, because we don't do it like that way, because it seems to work for you. And we've seen that progression, which is just seems to be getting better and better all the
I've
time.
actually always been told that I'm going to be a through and through marathon runner by every coach I've had in the past, like my college coach, then go on, and then who else? Yeah, I've had several coaches. I had one right after college. He was a Kenyan coach I had in America for a year, and he was like, "You're a marathon runner." But I was like, just finished college, and I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm a 5K runner." Like, and I was like, maybe one day, like, but everyone's been like, your biomechanics, your family history, everything like shows that you're going to be this really good marathon runner. And I think for a while I was like in denial. But then when I went to do the marathon, I was like, oh my God, why did I put it off? Or why didn't I listen to people? Because it's actually quite fun. I thought I would be like, yeah, psychotic to admit that. But no, I absolutely love it. There's something about the marathon what's so special. You learn so much about yourself, and it's the training's not, I feel like everyone's like, oh my God, to be a marathon runner, you have to lose your fast twitch. It's all about, you know, these slog miles and miles and miles. And it's not like, it's, I don't know, like I felt like it wasn't that much of a step up from the 5K training to even the marathon training as much as people think. At least it wasn't for me. That's my experience. But yeah, no, I found it really like, yeah, it's been a crazy journey, but I definitely think, yeah, most people have been like, no, you're a marathon runner. So yeah.
I think a lot of old school coaches wouldn't say it that way, wouldn't they? Because I mean, even just I'm just thinking about speaking to lots of coaches who have lots of experience running marathons over the decades, and they would say sort of try and sort of hyper focus on the longer distance stuff. But it's interesting how you found your way through to it instead. Like you say, you don't need to do it that way, and that's maybe like a much more modern way of looking at it as well. But I feel like the sort of historic way would not be. It would just be a lot of junk miles in there as well.
Yeah, no crazy junk miles. I try not to like be a slave to the mileage or anything. I just like take it week by week. But no, it's been good. And I think even you, Hannah, have said once, I think I remember you commentating on one of my 5K races, and you were like, oh yeah, I think her biomechanics, I think she's going to be really good on the roads one day. And if they you're one of a few as well, I'm also that.
chucking. I was thinking back that was it 2022 you were doing all the BMC 5Ks, weren't you? You were trying to hit times all on your own. There's always a female, whether it's Philly Bowden, Jenny Nesbitt, and it was you one year, just time and time again on their own out the front. And I think that makes me think of a marathon runner as well, like someone that can just go and push on their own. But no, that was the first time I really saw you back in the domestic scene, actually, like doing those BMC races.
Australia. I think I'd done 3 years in Australia, and then I came back and just hit it hard on the track. I think I was doing a 5K almost every weekend, but I was really chasing that sub 15, wasn't I?
Yeah, we'll come back to preparations for Chicago and everything like that in a moment. You've already touched on the fact that people thought that you'd be a marathon runner in the future. Obviously, your dad was a top distance athlete. For those listening that don't know, multiple world half marathon medalist. Did you always feel destined to head towards the middle and longer distances? Because I've also read that maybe, is it right, your mum did the shorter stuff. So was there a bit of a conflict?
Yeah. My mum was a sprinter, and I heard my dad was more long distance. He tried very hard in the marathon. I think he wanted a lot more than 2:12, and I think he had that, but yeah, unfortunately, it never translated into anything more than that. But yeah, he ran a really good half marathon, like 61 minutes. So, and yeah, and got a bronze medal at the World Half Marathon. So I would say that was his best distance. But yeah, I'm very much in the middle. Well, I was to start with. I'm not a marathon runner, I would say, but I was very much in the middle. And I know when I was born, my dad was doing really well, and the newspapers, all the local newspapers were like, "We need a name. We want to write, do this story." And he just read like "Baby, you were born to run," and it was just like talking about like how I'm probably going to be this middle distance runner, and like a bit of like my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like ironic that I do run, and I was very much a middle distance runner for a while. But yeah, obviously destined to be more like my dad in the marathon, I guess. The marathon, I always joke and say the marathon chose me, but but no, I do
Did
love
you
it.
feel like you were sort of not pressured by your parents to move into running, but because of that, yeah, all this expectation around you before you're even born, and then you are. But do you find that your way naturally into running, that you actually enjoyed it, or were you kind of sort of encouraged to get into it?
Yeah, I no, it was just a classic sports day for me where it was like it was finally like I was at school, and then they like they make you do this cross country like course thing around the perimeter of the school, and I was like nowhere to be seen. I was off like, and my teacher was like, "You're really fast. You're really good at running. You need to probably join a club." And that's when I went home to my mom and was like, "Mom, I've been told I'm a really fast runner and I need to start running." And then she was like, "Oh, I've been waiting for this day." So then she took me to Hallamshire Harriers, my local club, and yeah, and I loved it just to be with friends. Like I never took it seriously, like too seriously. I very much was competitive, don't get me wrong, but I loved just seeing my friends every time. Like I had such a good little group, and that stayed for so long. And yeah, I was very fortunate with my first coach who I had like up until I was like 17. Like he was brilliant, and no, I just loved it. I didn't take it seriously until I went to New Mexico and did it in college and university out in America.
No, and that's where I was going to go next, because you have had a very varied path from sort of the UK system through some different environments, and for you to go to New Mexico with Joe Franklin, and that's where Josh Kerr went. People might know, especially in the UK, that's where they might know that setup from. But you've been in some incredible environments, and I guess I'd love you to explain that to people, and then like what you took from each environment and how that shaped who you are now.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, New Mexico was where it all changed. And I think that's when I saw I could be really good at this thing, could potentially like, make it a career one day. I did again, but I just loved it. I was very much happy go lucky on the team, like just, really just enjoyed my experience at university, studying and obviously getting to compete. We're going on a plane every other weekend to all these cool spots. And yeah, and the NCAA system is crazy. Like it's just, it really does like get you ready for like almost a world championship style race. Like the NCAAs is insane. It's not just, your top Americans, it's very international, and you really do have to bring your A game for that kind of race. But it does feel like very much like a team competition, especially in the cross country scene, the NCAAs. It's like very much like it's not just for you, it's for your team as well. And I think that really like made it fun and exciting, and yeah, I was very fortunate to have an amazing team of both men and women on the team. Like you said, Josh Kerr, Alex Wright. We had Courtney Frericks, who medaled, has medaled at major championships. And yeah, I was very, very fortunate to be amongst greatness. And yeah, just supportive teammates. And yeah, I guess that was one chapter. And then I was there 4 years, and then another chapter was, then Australia. And that also shaped me. I think I was searching for that again, just because of what I had with that team environment. And Joe Franklin was very much like, you show up at training and you just get it done. Like he's very much a businessman, but he was brilliant. Like he knew exactly like what the formula was, what worked. And it really did work for me. And so, yeah, I was kind of like searching for that again. So then I found like Nick Bordeaux and that all came about. I just reached out to him on Facebook Messenger one day. I was like, "Hey, will you coach me? I've heard you're really good." And then I sent him my whole like, "This is why you should coach me." And I was like, "You can only not reply or just say no. So what's the worst that can happen?" And all he replied was, "Are you related to Calli Hauger-Thackery?" And I was like, "Thanks, Dad." Yeah.
Yeah. What was
Yeah.
what was your aim at that point, Calli, in terms of what were your goals at that point?
Yeah, good question. So it was actually random. It was through my sister. So my sister was lost in life. She was 8 years younger than me. And she was like a bit of a princess at home, not really like done a whole lot. Obviously, she's like 18, but she's like trying to figure out life. So I was like, you should pick somewhere on the map and just go somewhere, travel. That's the best way to like just open your eyes to different things, like take yourself out of your comfort zone. And she chose Australia. And I had this light bulb moment that I'd been in New Mexico, come back for a year, did the whole adulting, did a full 60-hour-week job. Like I was working my butt off, trying to run. And I was like, surely there's more for me out there. I've been in America, done this amazing life. And now I'm like, this is fine, but this is not what I want for my life. Like I want more. Like I want to search for what I had in New Mexico again. And that's when I said to my sister, I was like, shall we go out together? Like, and then that's when I spoke to a few friends and they were like, oh, if you go to Australia, you need to contact Nick Bordeaux. They've got an amazing group in Melbourne. And I looked, like did my research and I was like, yeah, I want to be with that group. Like there's some pretty cool people in that group. And then that's when it all basically came about. And yeah, and I just did it, just moved out there. But I was only going to go for 5 months. But then COVID happened and then I was stuck there for 3 years. So that's how that, yeah, happened.
I mean, that's wild. I think one thing anyone that's been in the NCAA system understands is that almost that the blues afterwards, that you do have this wonderful team environment. It's the closest to being a professional athlete that you can get before you get a shoe contract or anything. And the drop off the back of that is really tough, especially in the UK, where you come back and there's not as many pro groups. There's not the structure for professional athletes as there is in the US. So that's really interesting that you did something about that. I think we have so many talented athletes that go to the NCAA system and they don't force themselves back into that kind of professional setup. But for you to kind of go, oh, I tried real life, I don't like it, and really do something, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I know. It is a really big transition, like, especially because you've basically been given it to you on a plate, like your scholarship, like everything. They have everything for you to be a really good athlete, and all your races are scheduled, everything. You don't have to think, you just run. And it's brilliant. But then, yeah, when you do get a big shock, like you're back to reality and you're like, oh, wow, now what? And then unless you're an absolute superstar in the NCAA and you like walk into like a sponsor or something, then yeah. And I was always like 6. There was not enough for me to like walk into a sponsor or anything. So I really had to like go after it and prove myself. And that took a long time. Took a lot longer than I thought. But I stayed persistent and I stayed in the journey. It was a very crazy, colourful journey, but it got me to this point. So I'm grateful. But yeah, there was definitely a few things like in between, like right after New Mexico, I actually moved from New Mexico to Virginia and I trained with a group in, like Washington, DC area with this Kenyan coach for a year. But I was with amazing people again, like Gotti Tom, who was like a world champion in the marathon, and Serena Burler, who was top 10 in the US for the marathon and things like that. So again, he was very much wanting me to be this marathon runner. But yeah, it was a crazy time. And this Kenyan coach it was amazing, but it was very much a Kenyan coach, very rigid, strict, and was like 4 a.m. We would get up at 4 a.m. and set off at 4:30, and the commute was an hour and a half, so we'd be training for 6. And it was just like, I'm a full-time athlete. Why am I doing this? But it was very much like army style, like 1 year. And I was like, oh my God, this is a lot. But I was like, if this gets me a sponsor, then maybe I'll, do the course and it'll be worth it. But yeah, it was a lot. And I think that made it more of a chore for me. And that's not what I wanted. I really wanted something more light and fun. Like I know running is supposed to be it is serious and it's intense, but at the same time, I am a very much happy-go-lucky person, so I needed that again with a group what gets that, like like, yeah, they want to get to work, but they also want to live. And I don't know, like it's just important to like, yeah, have the whole package, I guess, with a group that understands that. But yeah, and I felt like I got that again.
You
Well,
got
and
the,
I feel
I
like
was
where
gonna
you
say,
are,
you
yeah,
definitely,
where
I was
you
gonna
are.
say, you definitely got the full package
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
end. But
Yeah.
you go, Hannah.
No, that's what I was going to say. You know, from all those environments and all those experiences to where you've settled now in Flagstaff, working with your husband as your coach. How did that come about? You know, was it kind of taking all those experiences and carving
Yeah.
out exactly what you needed? And was that easy? Was it simple once you got there, or was there still some challenges to figure out?
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a good question. And yeah, and that's why Nick had been with me, and seen because I did go back to Nick Bordeaux again for a brief moment, even though I was like in Australia with him for 3 years with that group. But then I did this stint in St. Moritz later on, almost, I don't know, like a year after, let's say. And I was training with Charlotte Purdue, and she's obviously with Nick, and I was, yeah, I did this great stint with her, and I was like, oh, maybe I should reach out to Nick again and see, and like, if he'll coach me from afar. But obviously, it's so hard to coach from afar. It was just wouldn't. I don't know. I think that wouldn't have worked out. But anyway, I was kind of lost, and I was like, what do I do now, like coach wise, and um, because I was like, yeah, doing a bit of Nick's training, but then also trying to figure it out with like
What year was this? What year were you in
basically
now when you were?
just after. So I would have done com games and everything, and probably the year after that.
Mhm.
So yeah. So Nick's been coaching me now. Nick, my husband, has been coaching me for like 2 years now, yeah, around 2 years. Um, so yeah, it was around that time, I guess. And then I don't know. I remember like, yeah, just been lost. And I also had been training with Samantha Harrison very closely. Like she's close to me in the UK, and we'd been doing a lot of training together. But she was very much like training for the marathon, and I was very much training still for the 5K. So I was doing a lot of her training, but under Vince at the time. And I feel like I was just like, I don't know, more of a guinea pig for Sam. And I say this to her, like, I was like, you're definitely doing your marathon training, girl. And she was like, I know, like, so, but it kind of, I guess that transitioned me then to the marathon though. And that in the end, not long after I did go to the marathon. So yeah, I do have that time to thank really. Cause like, yeah, I was chasing her tails, but it, for later on when I did do the marathon, that all, went to plan. But I just didn't know I was going to be a marathon runner anytime soon at that point.
So
um,
with all that build up, Calli, everyone's been telling you for years you're going to be a marathon runner, you're going to be a marathon runner. Then you're almost doing marathon training, and you're kind of. When does the penny drop for you that you're going to go? What was that point where you went, okay, I'm going to. Do you know what? Stop talking to me about it. I'm going to do it now.
yeah, definitely. It was just before World Half. So me and Sam raced World Half, and we did really well. We both came top 10. And that was, yeah, I came 7th in the World Half, and I was so happy. And it was like 30 years previously, my dad had got a bronze medal, and like we got a team bronze medal, and it was a very special day. And it was just the lead up for that. I was like, I might do my debut after this. And then when I came 7th, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready. Like, yeah, it's double the distance, but I think I can do a decent marathon. So it's pretty much like just happened after that. And then literally 2 weeks after I raced the marathon. And yeah, that's when my debut happened, and the marathon definitely chose me that day. Um, so yeah, and it was a crazy time. And obviously all that what I did with Sam, like I like did prepare me for that. And but no, it was a whirlwind of a time, because like I was a bit lost. Like I didn't know what to go, like I'd gone from New Mexico to Australia and all of this, and then I was like, oh my god, like I have to figure this coaching situation out. And that's when I actually rang Tom Craggs, and I was like a lost puppy, and I was like, Tom, I don't know what to do. I don't know, like I need like a coach that understands me and my journey and this and this. And he was like, Calli, like, I think you're looking at him right now, like right in front of you. Like, I do believe like Nick could be a very good coach. So, like, because he knew Nick to some extent, and he's seen, like how he is with me, and he's watched me now for like a few years, and he's seen like all the different kinds of training I've done, and he's watched it firsthand. And Nick's obviously a coach, he's never coached an elite, but he understands it. He's got that coach mind. So thanks to Tom, really, like he was like, yeah, and I guess he was like, obviously it's a big decision and you guys need to proper chat about it. But it had been in the back of my mind, but at the same time, I needed someone like Tom to be like, no, that's a great idea, you know? And that's when we like really sat down and I looked at Nick, and Nick was like, okay,
let's do this.
Yeah.
There's probably some proverb out there, isn't there, about whatever's right in front of you. And Tom Craig's probably put some lyrical twist on it. But from someone who, my husband was a coach, is a coach, but I could never have had him coach me. Like that would have been, it takes a special kind of relationship to have your husband coach you. And I've got a question. I think it's something we don't necessarily talk about enough in professional athletics, but was there an attraction to perhaps the financial stability of moving up to the roads? And the fact that you can earn a bit more money, whether it's all the way in the marathon or whether it is in the halves, was that something that factored in as well? Because you'd had many years making making com games, doing stuff like that, and I imagine without much financial security, and you could potentially get that on the roads.
Yeah, see, I was so naive to it. Like everyone was telling me that. Everyone, like I had all these like even college coaches reach out to me going, Calli, like you could be really good in the marathon. That's where the money is. Like there's so much money on the roads in the marathon. And I was like, yeah, but I love the 5K. Like that's not firing me up. Like I don't know. Like it was one of those for the longest time. Like everyone was telling me that. But then now you see it and I'm like, oh God, like it is a difference. Like, and the world majors, you just get prepped so well. Like it's funny because like I went from Boston, and then I was like, oh, I want to do some time release because they're cool and they're fun. But I gone from Boston, like literally been treated like a queen for like 6 days straight. And they're like, oh yeah, I'll get you international flights for you. Don't worry. Like I'll get Nick's as well. Like and they treat the whole family well, and all your support systems so well. And then it was just this incredible experience. And then you go to a diamond league and you're like, oh yeah, you have to pay your own way there. Like we're not paying for your flight or anything. And I'm like, oh wow, yeah, this is different. I forget the contrast from like track to roads. It is different. And you forget that. But no, I don't think it like, I think it depends. Like I think at that time I only saw myself, if I don't know, I saw myself as a track runner. So even with all that, but now I'm seeing the other side. Yeah, it'd be hard to go back now and be like, because basically like all this summer, this track season, I've earned nothing. And then you go, it's like the roads is very different. Yeah.
That marathon debut, I mean, the race itself is pretty low key, isn't it? I was reading up about it before, a couple of times before. It's basically an event, isn't it, to try and get US athletes who are kind of close to national teams and push them up. Is that correct? So that's kind of the idea of it. But the result put you joint second all time on the UK list at that time, alongside Charlotte Purdy. Obviously, you've then gone outright second. It's incredible how that happens when you get exactly on the second, isn't it? the time that you'd already set. But then suddenly you come to everyone's attention. And I just wonder whether you also felt at that point, as you said, you've been drifting and not knowing what to do, that you suddenly felt like you really belonged now in this sport.
Yeah, exactly. I do. Yeah, I didn't know though for that, like that was how it was going to go at all. I just think I wanted to get my feet wet in the distance and see. We thought best case scenario it might be a 2:24, 2:25, and when I saw the clock, yeah, I was absolutely mind blown. Because it came way easier than it should have. I don't know why, but I was very fortunate. I had Nick pacing me, and he's done a few marathons, and he gets it. He understands, and he also understands me as an athlete, and he was like telling me to be patient. We went off at like 2:28 pace like for a while. And then we like gradually built. And if you see my 5K splits, yeah, I went from like 2:28 pace and 2:27 and then but so you gradually picked it up, like without me like really like knowing. Because I kept saying to him, I'm like, Nick, we're jogging. Can we please go faster? This is really slow. Like, because obviously I'm used to like my fast twitch, and even in the half, it's so different. Like it feels like when you go to a marathon, you're like, God, this is like, I don't know, a slog. But then I like when I finally got to 18 miles, I'm like, Nick, I'm still feeling like we're jogging. Can we please go now? And yeah, no, he paced it like, I don't know, it was great. Like it was just ran to perfection, I think, for my first one. And I just, yeah, like you said, I liked that it was like a really low key race for my first one as well. Like, yeah, do I regret not having a big appearance fee for a world major? Probably, yeah, a little bit, but at the same time, just because they give a lot on debuts. But at the same time, that's what I needed. I needed a low key one just to get my feet wet, and it was perfect. And it felt like home. It was like near where like basically it was like a lake, a 3 mile loop lake, and that's where I train in the UK. It's a place called Rother Valley, and it's just 3 mile loop lake, and it's what I know. And I'd done a lot of tempos like that, so it felt familiar.
We like that's the closest I can get to a track. Yeah, I'm a track runner, so if I can run a marathon in loops, then I'm all good.
Exactly. Well, we should have just 5Ks, and that's how I was in my head. I'm like, it's just several 5Ks, a lot of 5Ks at once.
But no, I mean that performance, you know, it opened up the chance to be an Olympian, you know, and that's something that so many athletes dream of doing, and that was a race that unlocked like that for you. But the Olympics was hard for you. You've been very public about the build up emotionally and physically with what what your mum went through and things like that. How difficult was that whole experience to marry up, I guess, the dream of becoming an Olympian with, you know, a build up that was incredibly tough?
Yeah, I think it was bittersweet, wasn't it? Like making the Olympics in my debut. Like it's just like I really did feel like I needed one more. Um and obviously the selection policy happens in like really early, like January, February time for the marathon. And you're kind of told on the phone, you're like, look, like you have got early selection, it's yours if you want it, but just know you can't do another marathon now. And I was like, damn, like I really did want to do one more, just more to get like an understanding of this distance, because I felt like it went so perfect for my first one, but like in a city marathon, I feel like I could have had more experience and then been more ready and confident going into Paris, a big city marathon in the Olympic Games. So I don't know, like they didn't say absolutely not, you can't do it, but just know that the early selection isn't on the table anymore and you'll have to wait. And obviously if something goes wrong in that next marathon, we'll look at that. And obviously I'm like, oh, this is a marathon, you don't want to mess with that. Anything can happen. So it was really tough going into the Paris Olympic Games as my second ever marathon. Like you know, there's people like Molly Seidel's absolutely like crushed, they've done that, and I'm just like, it's inspiring because I went there and I was absolutely like, what the hell am I doing? This is so scary right now. Like it just felt like, honestly, like I was going to war that day, and I'm like, this should not feel like that. This is the Olympic Games. I should be so excited and enthralled that I've like done this and I'm doing this. But I just think, yeah, with the build up and everything what went on previously, I'd lost a lot of sleep. My preparation was amazing in terms of my fitness. Like I was the fittest. Like my like some of my sessions were outrageous, and I was like, I back myself on being up there that day. I think me and my support team were like, anything lower than a top 10 would have been a bad day. Like we felt like we'd really prepared. But with that, with the marathon, you need to have the sleep, you need to have the nutrition on your everything needs to be in place and ready for it. And I think the Paris Olympic Games as well, me being the last event, I think day by day I was like getting more and more tired and more like, yeah, basically it came to it and I was just absolutely exhausted before it even started. And I think it all just like, yeah, stacked, and unfortunately the taper just didn't do its job because of the lack of sleep and the lack of appetite with everything in the background. There was a lot of background noise on the preparation, obviously with my mom and other things going on in my life. But this we're human, you know, like
Yeah.
I can't really, I tried my best to like, you know, give myself the best shot. And I thought my fitness would carry me through. I really did. I was like, I'm so fit right now. That's the one thing I've got on my side. But unfortunately with the marathon, it's going to expose you. If you're not on top of your game with your like your sleep and your appetite and everything, like it's gonna expose you. And it did. And it did really early. I knew 5K in. I was like, yeah, I'm doomed. Like my body was doing crazy things. Like I thought I had a stress fracture 3 miles in, and I'm like, I've never felt that pain. But that's what exhaustion does. Like,
Mhm.
and I remember I got to, I don't even know how I even got to like 17 miles. I was absolutely exhausted. And I remember seeing my husband, and I just had to, I was like, and he was like, is this really it? Are you gonna drop out here? And I was like, I can't go anymore. I need to go to bed. Like, I just need my bed.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, Calli, like, okay. Like, and I just, yeah, it was a horrible moment. And obviously Nick feels that with me as well. We've been through this together, and yeah, it was a really hard time, and it definitely is a heartbreaking moment. And, but it's also like, I don't know, it's taught me a lot, and it's fueled me, and it made me really hungry to like prove to myself that no, the marathon is for me, and I'm going to prove that. And this is just part of my journey and my story, and I'm going to come back and show that I can do the marathon. It's just not this year in the Olympics, unfortunately. But
No, and I think when you describe sort of the conditions and the build up to that debut versus the build up to Olympic Games, it couldn't be different, could it?
yeah,
And it couldn't be more different. And I think, yeah, you're right to sort of wonder what would have happened if you could have cut the difference with a major marathon between the two, just to give you more experience. And it
yeah,
could have been perhaps the stuff with your mum you never would have been able to cope with that. But at least, you know, the sort of pressure might not have been as much. But it's wild, like what Olympic Games does to people. We've had so many guests here on Podium saying, you know, Chase Jackson was a great example. She's like, it's just different. Like you cannot just turn up and think it's going to be the same thing. Like it's just different. And
yeah. Especially your first one, I don't think anyone can prepare you for it. I feel like everything is on that soul moment, that soul race. Like you feel like your whole life is like built for this, and then it's just like the pressure of that is absolutely absurd. Like it's crazy. Like
and what's
and you just
crazy is that
feel it.
you know it's like a massive privilege, but then at the same
Yeah,
time it's like the most yeah,
yeah,
you're like, it's the two things at the same time, isn't it? Like what a
yeah,
pleasure to get to try and be the best on one day,
exactly.
but then
And
also what
you want it so bad, and it's like, you know, you've worked for it, and you know you deserve we all like deserve it, like, you know. But it's like, I don't know, to actually, yeah, I don't know, to not feel the pressure is tough. Like, so for people to do well on that day, it's so inspiring because it is tough. But
yeah.
I'm glad I've had the first experience of the Olympics done. Hopefully, if I make my second one, I can, like, you know, go into that with a whole different mindset, and I'll work on that, and I'll, yeah, work hard on the mental aspect of it, because yeah, it is a crazy time.
But what a way to respond, because, you know, a month and a bit later, you're in Berlin, lowering your PB again to 221. And now at that point, outright second best British woman ever in terms of times. I mean, was that a lot of channeling the frustration and the emotion from that summer in Paris into that race?
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, I didn't want that training what I'd done to go to waste and like be done for nothing. Like I had worked my butt off since I found out. Like even before I found out, I was like, there's a chance I'm gonna go to the Olympics. So I really need to train hard and be ready. So I didn't want that to go to waste. I knew that I had to prove to myself that I can do the marathon well. So that felt like a good opportunity, and I felt like I just had to rip the band-aid off with it. I'm like, I need to do it sooner rather than later, or else it's just going to eat away at me.
Mm.
So I'm glad I did it. Like it was tough though. Like I fought some hard mental battles that day, and you do think back, like you're always thinking of your last race, and now unfortunately, yeah, that was a DNF at the Olympics. So it was really, really hard. But I think that was just a big mental win more than anything. I don't even know how I ran that with what I was going through and the demons that I was fighting. But I think that, yeah, that taught me a lot about myself.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's always interesting to get into the head of a marathon runner, just because everyone is different in terms of your coping strategies when things get tough, and you know, people do forget a lot of the time that it's not just about tackling 26.2 miles as fast or as well as you possibly can at any level, but there are other things going on in your life as well. What would your advice be to anyone that struggles with that maybe gives in too easily, or maybe not gives in too easily, but you know, when it gets tough, it's going to get tough, that you do keep going?
Yeah, I think just know, like, I think the marathon itself is a great metaphor for life, isn't it? Like it's gonna be like this. It's gonna be up and down, and I think, like let's say you get cramp like 9 miles in, very quite early, and like it will go. Like just be positive, change that, shift it. Like get know that the fuel in what you're gonna get soon is gonna be there, and you can take that, and it'll just be a moment, and you just got to fight past it. It's hard, it's meant to be hard, it's not meant to be easy. If you want it enough, you know you'll fight for it. So, and I really wanted it, so I fought hard, and yeah, I did. I got a lot of niggles in that race where I felt like, oh my god, what's going on? It's like Paris all over again. Like my body's doing some weird things, and I had to tell myself like, no, it's just a blip. Like this is gonna go, and it did. And then I felt amazing a few miles later, and then I felt it again, and before you know it, I've got less than 10k to go, and I'm like, I'm nearly there now. It's the home stretch. Like let's do what I set out to do.
We're going to talk about Chicago in just a moment and your preparations, how you're feeling about everything. We can't avoid, in a way, it's hard to avoid the conversation about, this marathon that's coming up because, this is where the world record was set last year by Ruth Chepngetich, and she was the first woman under 210. And hopefully new narratives are written over this next month or so. But, at the moment she's provisionally suspended She's been provisionally suspended for a diuretic. The world record still stands because the test was from this year. How does that sit with you and everyone you talk to in the marathon community when you're lining up on that start line? Can you say with confidence that the athletes around you are clean?
Yeah, it's a frustrating one, isn't it? But it's as all athletes, we have to deal with it and the reality of it. Yeah, I watched it and was just like shaking my head the whole time, to be honest. And like, I'm not a bitter person, but it's the fact that like how she did it. And it was like when she was running with the flag afterwards, she's sprinting with the flag. And I'm like, how do you do that after you've run? I ran 221, and I am literally know what it took to run 221, and I was dead on the floor, like about to be sick. Like, and I'm like, I would not be able to sprint with a flag. But it was just crazy. Like I remember talking to Nick about it, and we were like, we'll see. And then when it obviously all came about, yeah, it was no major shock, to be honest. I don't think it was for a lot of people. 209, it's absolutely outrageous. But yeah, it's frustrating that the times have still stand. It really is. But yeah, we can't really do much about that yet. Hopefully, like just come about, and they find the right, more. Yeah, more is done, and that time does get wiped off. But it's one of those things, isn't it? But yeah, it's crazy going into Chicago when that's what happened last year. I'm like, well, guys, I'm definitely not going to run anywhere near that. But if I can run 10 minutes on that, I'll be a happy athlete. But yeah, I don't know. It's just mad. But no, you just got to run your own race and see, what I can do, and try and shut out all of that, the noise of other things going on. But no, I think this year's going to be very different. If I looked at the field, it looks exciting. It should be a good race.
This is what we're going to say. I mean, no pressure, Calli, but I mean, really good placings in Berlin and Boston this year as well. And it gets us a little bit excited that we could have a British woman in the top 3 of the major marathon again. And I think we were someone's going to tell us that we're probably wrong on this, but we're trying to go through all the results. We think it's both Paula Radcliffe and Mari Yamuchi made top 3s. I think Paula won New York in 2009. Is that 2000, something around that? It's around the late 2010s. Okay. Around like 2000, sorry. Around that time, 2009, I think it was when it was. And we've had Eden Rainbow Cooper won the wheelchairs as well. And Emma Caress in the men's side has made top 3 in London. But look, I'm looking at this field and your progress and thinking, this is a great opportunity for you, right?
Yeah, it does look like, I'm very excited. I will try. I definitely will be running my own race. And a bit like my debut I spoke about, I've got to be conservative. I don't want to go off crazy and then absolutely regret it, a negative split. positive split.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I want to be smart and but I will be eyeing up a fast time, and hopefully that translates to a very high position in that marathon. So we'll see.
I was going to ask you, the way you were talking about that debut and the way you ran it and the way you talk about your profile as an athlete and still having that fast twitch and still liking to run that way. Yeah, is that something you're going to try and protect then? Yeah, that moving through the field, kind of increasing your pace throughout.
Yeah, exactly. I just think it works for me in a lot of events. Like you'll have even seen it in the 10. What I did recently at Worlds, like I was in 28th place for quite a lot of that race, and I went gradually built down to the 11th place, and I like running that way. And I just think it's nice to like conserve energy early on and not waste energy. And really move through and hit it hard at the end. I just find that fun. I find it, yeah. It excites me running that way and trying to reel people in, as opposed to going out at suicide pace and then
Hmm.
praying that you're going to hang on and stay on. I just think, yeah, I love a big negative split if I can. So yeah, I think I'll go off not too conservative, like near my current PB pace, just a bit faster, and then see hopefully if I can, yeah, really wind down towards the end. So yeah, that's the current plan, but we'll
And
see.
the
And
current
obviously,
plan
if there's
being
like
sub
other,
220, Calli? Is that the
yeah,
plan,
I
sub
love it.
220?
Yeah, that would be absolutely incredible. I think
Mm.
Chicago is supposed to be like a great race, like flat, fast, and obviously all weather dependent. We've seen so many marathons now, like they've been so hot, like on the hot side. Even Berlin, it's just
Yeah.
pacing that race. I was like, oh wow, like every marathon now, like is on the warmer side. I think Twin Cities, we coach some athletes and they're doing Twin Cities, and I think again it's going to be like 25 degrees. And then I don't know what Chicago's saying at the minute, but hopefully, like, yeah, all weather dependent and different things. But hopefully, yeah, we can run fast, like fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we'll be rooting for you. And
Yeah.
I'm curious. I always think as runners, we're always geeks, or I am anyway. But that do you have key workouts that you do to practice increasing that pace, the cut downs? Yeah, what is sort of your favourite sessions to do that you think can give you that confidence into a marathon?
Yeah, yeah, I do a lot of like stuff on the track still, like where yeah, a lot of half marathon zone pace, and when I come to do the marathon pace, it feels yeah, it feels great. I think that gives me a lot of confidence, and that's why I race a lot as well. You'll see me in a lot of 10Ks halves, and that just yeah, and then I come to do that A-goal race or this big race, and I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Like I can run at this pace for a long time. I know that I've seen it. But yeah, I would say like the K on K off for a long time, things like that, like change of paces, I think is very important because marathons aren't always just like one, straight shot pace. It's very much, especially Boston. It was one mile was a 5:40, the next was a 5:05. It's like it's crazy. So yeah, I do love the K on K off kind of type runs where I get to like go in and out of different paces, things like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I just yeah, we're sponsored by Morton here on this podcast, and I know that's something that really helps athletes like you. It helps athletes at all levels. Like something that I use in my own marathon training now. It's completely revolutionized things. Um, have you found like a massive difference? Because you could think about, I was thinking about when Morton first came around I don't know, it was a bit more easily to get hold of maybe 5 years ago, I guess, something like that. Um,
Mm.
and everything else was just really tough, like to take on. And it's just made that training so much easier as well as the racing. Do you find the same thing?
Yeah, it's been life-saving for me, the Morton products, since I started. Like, I won't lie, like I didn't do any practicing before my debut. I
Okay.
did here and there, I put that on gel, and I'm like, yeah, I've practiced, I'll be fine. And then, but fast forward to my marathon, and I literally take every 5K, no joke, I take a whole, like, the small Morton bottles, but like I take the whole drink, and I also take the gel every 5K. So I take the drink gel every like literally until 35K. And apparently Molten Specialist has been like, we've never seen that for someone your size. Like, that's
Mm.
absolutely outrageous that you take that much carbs. Like, that's a lot. But
It's
I
really hard
think,
to take. I mean, it takes a lot of training, though, doesn't it? I think people don't really understand how much training it takes. I
yeah.
think people that are also have even done a few marathons, they don't think they need to train with it.
Yeah, I do think, yeah, I'm just lucky. I think that I have got a strong stomach, because the fact that I can take on that much. But I've always been one of those where I could literally eat a massive mound of food and I could go out on a run and be fine. So I'm very fortunate. I'm one of
Yeah, it
those,
is.
yeah, those annoying athletes that can like take quite a lot, and I'm absolutely fine. But I don't want to say all this now and then I get stiff for finish Chicago.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
but no, like I've been very fortunate. I think, and also I just think it massively helps. I think that's the difference between bonking at 30K and not bonking at 30K. Like genuinely, the more you can take early on, and if your stomach allows it, the better. Obviously within reason for, like, but yeah, and I didn't do a whole lot of practicing. I did take a few gels and some of my long workouts, things like that. And I was like, no, I can do this. I was terrified of the drink actually, because every time I tried to drink, I would like choke a bit and it
Mm.
wasn't great. Then the marathon came and I was absolutely fine. Like, you just do it, like it's second nature. But also Nick told me, it was like, if you have to hold it for over 1 kilometer, that's fine. I'd rather you do that. So don't be scared of like holding the bottle for a while. I'd rather you just like, so I did, and I would take it over like 800 meters or a K, and I would just keep like until it's finished, instead of like just I think it's easy to think that once you've got the bottle you need to like down it and then be done and tuck it away, where it's not. It's like, just take it, take your time drinking it, and yeah, and before you know it, the next 5K you're taking your next one. But I do think it massively helps, that last 10K if you
No,
can get you right.
No, it definitely is. I love how it's changed from depletion training and everyone had to do that to it's the opposite. It's like, how well can you run sort of fully fueled? And of course, loads of people will say the shoes have a big effect in the last part of a race. But I'm wondering, when you talk about the way that you like to train with that high intensity and that you like to race year round, is that something you think kind of the carbon plates kind of help you with the recovery and being able to race that often?
Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm like very much a minimalist person, so I didn't love them, but I'm not gonna lie, yeah, like they must help with the recovery because, um, but yeah, especially now with the shoes and Nike, what they're doing with their shoes is just always like, I feel like, yeah, they're always a step ahead with these carbon shoes and the things they do, and it's incredible. But yeah, but also I'm not like the alpha flies. I look at them, I'm like, what the hell? Like, these are crazy. Like, I'm so far off the ground. Like, that for me is not natural. And it's because I'm such a flat footed runner. I think putting the alpha flies on it makes me run on my toes. And that's not natural for me. And I feel like I can't like get on board with the stack height. So the newest vapor flies they have, like thankfully they're very more minimalistic. I do love
Mm.
them. They give you, yes, they've got the carbon, but you still feel that contact to the ground. And yeah, they help me through Boston, and I trust them. I always say my trusty vapor flies will get me through. But yeah, it's definitely helps with like the recovery afterwards, like especially doing a big marathon and you do notice it. I mean, like, yeah, Boston, I'm not gonna lie though, you should have seen me in that airport. I had a lot of messages being like, "When you're in the airport, Calli, like, I'm glad to see that you're like a normal runner and that you still really struggle like the rest of us." It was embarrassing, like I could barely walk. I was walking
Ah.
around, and it's like little old women like passing me like, "Move."
You like call for those assistant buggies that I need.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really needed one.
Oh. But you've been so generous with your time today, Calli, and we don't want to keep you too long. I just want to give you a moment. You and Nick do coaching though, right? Like I love the fact that you've built all this experience between the pair of you, and now you're putting it out there in coaching as well.
Yeah, I think it just adds to it, and it's really nice to have that like instead of just our running journey. It's nice to have other people alongside with us, like yeah, it is amazing. And yeah, it's called Two Worlds Collide. I think it's very much mine and Nick's story, like both of us combined together. We met here in Flagstaff. So, and yeah, an American and a Brit coming together. And yeah, we love it. It's just like, it's nice to add to the community and give back as well. But yeah, it's been fun.
Now, and I always think people think that the problems that elites have are only for elites, when actually it does transcend the whole sport. It's the same, it's the same issues. But like all us three here at Podium are super excited to see you do Chicago and beyond, and the next races you have in your career and everything that's coming up for you. You're super exciting to watch. So yeah, we wish you all the best. Next smooth journey in the next few weeks and through to 2026 as well.
Oh, thank you so much, guys, and thank you for having me on. It's been great.